Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Rama 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 Rama, Rama 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 Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Rama 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 Rama, 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 Rama Rama Rama. Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Ashram. So one more evening of Nama Sankirtan, and we have offered with deep gratitude the Nama flowers at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. Every day it is grace, grace and grace, but nothing else. Because even in this situation, something like a crisis is building up, when people are suffering miserably, we could still sit in the shrine and be able to sing His powerful name for the sake of the sufferers. It's possible only by His grace. Celebrating this grace, before we offer our today's prayers, we shall see a glimpse of what is happening, how families feel. A few months back, a family came here. That was when the rules had been relaxed. Things were slowly returning to normal. And everybody believed that this corona was taking its leave. So when these people visited, they were all in tears when they came to me. And they said how Bhagwan at every level helped them, guided them and protected them. You see, miseries come. As per our fate, or call it anything, life brings joys and sorrows, yes? But then, when we live our life depending upon God's grace alone, in strange, mysterious ways, help comes. Amidst all the difficulties, the miseries as per the fate. Rakshana has written a letter after these people left. Of course, even when they were here, they narrated a few things to me, after which I said, please write it in giving. So Rakshana sent a letter where she has said how the family was happy together. The father is a Pujari in some temple, and they were all drawn to Yogi Ramsuratkumar, been chanting his name, and their life completely depended upon Bhagwan, depends upon Bhagwan even now. At the time, the corona was at its peak, and there were corona centers here and there. People came and tested all the 10 members in the compound, and these 4 of one family, they found out they were corona positive. You know the reactions from people, how people panic and how much money they have to spend after that. And again, it depends upon they're getting a room and proper treatment in the hospital, etc., etc. Now, naturally, the father, Sri Kannan, was always singing Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama in different tunes. He was very happy with it. He was already not well. He was suffering a little, and now added to it, it's corona positive. Mother, she wouldn't even go to a nearby shop alone. But she had in her possession a book on Yogi Ramsuratkumar, a book of songs perhaps by Sri Balakumaran. And of course, these 2 people were always chanting Yogi Ramsuratkumar name. Now, as soon as this name broke out, as soon as this news broke out, they were flabbergasted. They didn't know how to take it. In any case, they had to rush to the nearby center, where each one's quarantine had to be fixed depending upon their states of affliction. Now, there was quite a crowd there. Their father, Sri Kannan, was already not well, and despite that, he was just managing to be with them, but he was unable to stand anymore. He was struggling, and nobody could do anything about it. He was getting tired by the minute, unable to stand. And just at the time he was going to collapse or something because he was unable to stand anymore, a doctor at a distance noticed how this man was struggling to stand but unable to do it. Immediately he called his family and said, you people have to decide quickly. We have an ambulance here and this man is very sick. We're going to KMC hospital, so decide and send him there. We will admit him there, and if necessary, he would be shifted to another hospital. But don't delay. He is not well, he is very sick. So you see, the decision was taken out of their hands because they were also confused. They did not know what to decide, what not to decide, where to go and where not to go. So they say, Rakshana says, it was surely Bhagavan speaking through that man, deciding for us when we were in a dilemma as to what to do. So the father was taken in the ambulance and he was rushed to this KMC hospital. No one else was allowed to go with them. Now the mother had low oxygen. So she was sent to Loyola College Corona Center. Again, nobody was allowed to go with her. Now these two girls, Rakshana and Raghavi, probably about in their 20s, they did not know what to do. They also were corona positive. But finally, somebody said, an ambulance driver told them, look, you people seem to be all right. You better go home. Don't go here and there. So they immediately went home and kept themselves there. The home quarantine. Now when these girls reached home, suddenly the whole thing came down with a force. It was June 22nd, they found out they were all COVID positive. It was June 24th, that is just one day after, they had returned home alone, just the two of them, father in one place, mother in another place, and the whole area was restricted area, which meant nobody could come there and nobody could go out either. So it hit them with a certain force. They began to cry their heart out. They felt very lonely without father and mother. Just in 2 days, everything had changed. They felt very acutely the absence of their mother and father, and they were thinking that mother had gone to some place alone for next 14 days. She was never left alone. She wouldn't go to a shop alone. What would she do the next 14 days? The girls were very worried, but they could do nothing about it. So they got busy packing the clothes for father and mother, and they were crying to Bhagwan. They were chanting and crying, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, what has happened to us? What are we going to do? We do not even know how to cook. We have been left alone in the house. Suddenly everything is changed. We are unable to bear it. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. The cry rose high, and there was a call from their uncle, and the uncle spoke kindly, asking them not to worry. Everything would be all right. Again, Surakshana says, that was Bhagwan. He came in time to give us a word of pacification, a word of kindness, when we least expected it. And then again they were chanting and crying and chanting and crying to Bhagwan. Just after they called out in misery, there was a sudden change. A miracle happened. They got a news that her mother was being sent home. What is it? They tested in the new center, the Loyola College Corona Center, and she tested COVID negative. So she was sent home. You can imagine how the two girls must have felt. They felt overwhelmed. They were besides themselves with joy at the Leela of Bhagwan, how he could change everything within minutes. So mother was back home, and they were no more so much miserable as before. And father also, after 14 days of good treatment, came back home, COVID negative. But they say, these are only few details. If we get to describe them, This is exactly what many families go through when they find out they are COVID positive. Suddenly everything changes. People have been very close, dear and near, would not be able to reach out. And sometimes they are left completely helpless. And yet, if we have the Nama, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, in our hand, on our tongue, things could still change dramatically. And there might be tremendous relief. This is what happened to the family. Rakshana says, Bhagwan did not let us down. Despite the trouble we had to go through, the misery we all felt, we were still saved. What does it mean? Misery comes according to our fate, but we get help from the divine. That's what is important. The divine would not come in the way of fate, because fate is as per the rules of the divine. If you remember that particular scene in Ramayana, when Sri Rama reached the shore, he wanted the ocean to give way for the army of the monkeys to go over to Sri Lanka. So he kept praying and praying and praying to the king of the oceans to give way. 3 days of tapas passed, but there was no response from the king of the oceans. And then Sri Rama got angry. Immediately, he pulled out an arrow and set his bow ready to hit the ocean. Now the king, Samudra Raja, the king of the ocean, came up with folded hands and said, "My lord, I am only obeying the rules that you made. How can I break them? You yourself cannot break them. You have made the rules. You are the Lord of the universe. The universe functions as per your wish, as per your will. And the rules that you have made for the run of the cosmos are not to be obeyed, not to be disobeyed by any of us. Kindly forgive me, because what you are asking is against nature. How can the ocean leave space in the middle for your army to walk over? It's impossible in nature." Sri Rama understood. Of course, why wouldn't he understand? It was a Leela of Rama to make a certain point. So goes the story, on and on. But enough to learn this, that God has made this rule. So what we go through today, because of this burst of the coronavirus upon the humanity, is God-willed. And everything is going on as per the will of God. There must be some reason behind it. There must be some blessing also behind it, though it is very difficult to fathom what it is. But we get help wherever people call out to the divine. Help is rushed to them amidst all these miseries. This is what we repeatedly see in the lives of devotees. Once we take refuge at the feet of a great master or a God, conventional God, it doesn't mean all our miseries, all that fate has willed would go away. They will happen no matter what, as per the law of karma. Yet, help will come, guidance will come, and protection will come from the divine if only we could call out. Repeatedly, there are 1,000 stories of COVID, how people had suffered in different families, how each one had been isolated to the horror of the family members. So many terrible things I could not bring myself to say. But amidst all this, let's remember to seek God, God's help. When we call out the name of God, He would arrange through proper instruments the help that's needed by us. She says, Rakshana says, she had a dream one day in which Bhagwan appeared. He looked like a Pujari. She was standing in a temple, and the Pujari Bhagwan laughed and said, he just gave her a pat and they said, Corona would go away, would run away. Don't fear. She says after that assurance in the dream, things began to change dramatically, and very soon normalcy was slowly returning everywhere. But then when it came down to its low, all-time low, the second wave broke out. Life goes on with its ups and downs, with all the vicissitudes. And the only refuge is God. So let us appeal to Bhagwan here for His immediate divine intervention to free the humanity from the deadly grip of this monstrous virus and its variants, and bring back normalcy in every aspect of life. And Bhagwan, we appeal to your generosity. We demand your compassionate glance upon us. Please cast once, kindly remove the panic from the hearts of people and the other negativities, because the panic is doing more harm than the pandemic. And Bhagwan, please stop the spread of the disease. Please contain it. And enter the medicines so that they would work and kill the entire clan of these viruses. And all those people who feel stranded outside the hospitals without a room or oxygen, we beg you, Bhagwan, to reach out to them with your divine help so that they get what they need, get well soon and return home. And all those great, great, great people. People also complain about them, that they are not given right attention, this and that. But these doctors, nurses, all those assistants, and people from the sanitary department, people from the police department, the government officials and servants, every one of them working so hard day and night, laboring against all challenges at the very risk of their lives in order to save other lives. Even yesterday night, a nurse phoned up. She cried over the phone and said, look, we have been serving and now I got it. Only Bhagwan has to save me. She cried. And of course, Bhagwan will definitely save her. She doesn't have to go through all those horrid results. But these people are doing their very best. against all odds, we should be all appreciation for this service instead of complaining about them. We must know that they are working day and night. They don't think of their families. They don't think of their lives. Please, Bhagwan, please give them protection and all-round welfare. And we beg you for a lift to our economy. And above all, please bless us with constant remembrance of your name and the attitude of a fitting instrument in your hands. And Bhagwan, please bless us with that purification, that transformation, so that at some point in life we would be able to see your presence and your blessings only in every happening of life. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.